we'll see as we get deeper and deeper into Fearless how they are able to keep that going.
So importantly here, G2 are on the blue side, but they'll be on the right side of your screen. So their logo was in the right place there with BFX underneath it. Just one of those slight bugs that happen, so we'll fix that for you.
What they're doing is keeping them on the side of the stage, I think.
Yes, that is what they're doing. But because the tri-code was underneath the wrong logo, I just wanted to call it out. But we'll get it sorted. We're still in the draft, and we'll jump into it as soon as we can, of course. Yeah, I think for BFX, having a bot lane that doesn't start massively behind is good. Vicla was having a really good time into caps in the 1v1. I think there wasn't a huge amount wrong with what Raptor did in the early game either, and Clay was winning out on the top lane. So if you can negate the 600, 700 gold deficit that you fell into because of that, the game becomes a lot easier to play.
For sure, for sure. No need to be a game one Andy this time around either.
We could be.
But you can be.
We can be. It's the game one of first stand for the LCS or the LEC versus an LCK or LPL team.
Yeah, true. Okay, so Rumble. Most common picks into Rumble are Ornn and Galio, and they got and stuff like Aurora and stuff if you wanted to super punish lane, but that's not really the type of vibe that G2 have been going for with top lane. It's been more the tanky answers into stuff, and so they're going to continue with that type, and they go with the Ornn. And honestly, I like this start already because it is massive team fight engaged, and trying to build for team fights and build for dragon stacking is a very winning strategy. It's also one of the more simple strategies to execute, and seems like a good natural kind of progression here for G2. Now, they get the Nami early, so you can do the Nami Lucian, or you can just do Nami Coerki, Nami Ezreal. Plenty of options there. And I think picking Lucian into Diable is something. So I'm actually hoping that Hans goes for an Ezreal or a Coerki instead.
But the Nocturne and the Mel are going to be the picks for BNK. We saw Vicla's Mel against BLG, had a really solid performance on it. And of course, Nocturne at the moment, just such a good jungler. The ability to gank with Paranoia, but also in teamfights to be able to turn off the lights on your opponents. And you've got Solar Snare, you've got the Equalizer coming down. You have all of these things that your opponents have to deal with while you're just there with full vision of what's going on.
Yeah. All right, nice. We get the Coerki instead. I too, I would not pick Lucian into Diable. One of the best Lucians I've ever seen in my life. So Coerki here, very versatile, has a good escape, obviously, for himself, and lots of options of how to play. Good burst damage, can rely on rockets for later too. And you have to get some AD carry with a dash. That's why we're looking at him. When you're playing against Rumble, everybody wants a dash, so you can get off the hot lava.
Yeah, you need to be able to get out. Interesting that we have a sort of a mismatch in terms of picks so far. Top support and AD for G2, top mid and jungle for BNK, which gives them the option to ban away some mid laners that might be good into the Mel, ban away some junglers they don't want SkewMond getting his hands on, but it also gives G2 the option to get rid of some of these AD carries that they're worried about. Diable's Ezreal, absolutely legendary at this point. He's so good on this pick. Getting rid of that when you already have good poke from the rest of the team makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they're trying to also take away mobile AD carries because Ornn ult and Nami ult are really hard to get away from if you don't have dashes. And so they want to remove all doubt that they would be able to hit those. So there you go, Lucian ban. Big respect to Diable with those two, Ezreal and Lucian. As we went over, I think both very good denials for him. The thing with BNK's comp right now, you don't have the best way to keep people on Rumble ult still. And like, whenever you're first picking Rumble, I feel like you really need that type of thing. And so for Kellin, it's like, all right, we're definitely going to get Kellin something with CC. Exactly.
Is what I'm feeling.
It's going to pair with a Nocturne and with a Rumble engage, and you have to have hard CC to keep people there.
You could also go for something like a Rakan. Nocturne goes in, the Rakan follows up with the quickness, and you put the Equalizer down on that. But I think like a Nautilus Kaisa here would be okay for me for BNK. I think it struggles a little bit it struggles quite a lot into the Coerki Nami lane, but later on for team fights, which is what BNK really have developed, those sort of skirmishy team fights, I don't mind those two as picks. G2 will get the Azir for caps. Haven't seen too much of the Emperor of Sarima at this tournament, but we see a bit of him when we get towards these second, third tier mid laners generally.
G2 really going for the scaling then. They've got Ornn upgrades for later and Azir for later as well. I will say, if Mel can land the poke onto Azir early, though, that seems like it's going to be painful. So it depends on if you can land it now. It is a little bit more difficult to get all of the value out of the Mel poke, but they did buff up the damage on it, so
they did.
Feels quite nice. And there you go. There's exactly what you were calling for, Medic. And we get the dive combination from the bottom lane. Rakan Nocturne engage is always crazy fearsome. Mel, really good follow-up, by the way, with the buffs on her snare. So if they are quick about it, and they will be, that engage looks terrifying for BNK.
It's very much if we pick someone, they are dead. Unless they are Valkyrying out or flashing out, or a good Emperor's Divide comes out from G2. Jarvan is the final pick for SkewMond, something he can do a lot of work on in the early game.
Yeah, I think the one item timing is going to be painful for G2. So we'll see how they deal with that once BNK get their one items and start to use a lot of these engage tools. How much gold are you giving up is kind of the question here.
You want to play towards those team fights, but if BNK get a solid lead in the early game, they are so good at just suffocating you out of the game, taking fights on in their advantage, forcing you back away from your towers, taking the towers, getting into your jungle. It will be a struggle for G2 and really good for BNK if they can get that 1,000 gold lead or something on Diable through the early laning phase.
Yeah. We'll see, because both G2 solo lanes, I feel like, should be, like, they're just looking for scaling.
Low priority.
Yeah, so we'll see.
That we will. Let's get on in to game 2 of this best of 5 between the LCK #2 seeds, BNK FEARX, and the LEC #1 seeds, G2, who were able to pick up game 1 in pretty convincing fashion. Something I think a lot of us were surprised to see, but BNK have been in this sort of position before. They've been playing T1, they've been losing games to Gen G, they've been able to come back from losing the first game of a series very effectively. G2 cannot let their foot off the gas, especially in a game where they are playing for later spikes than their opposition.
Yeah, I definitely rather be BNK's side in this one. Let's see about the execution and the level 1. Will we get any shenanigans here in the level 1? Looks like a couple of early wards down.
No shenanigans. They've shenaned once. They're not going to shenan again.
Okay. I have practiced doing fake labs with Freak. How would you rate my fake lab there?
I got a boo from the producers, and that's always my goal when I fun like that, right? So Captain Vicla trading a tiny bit in the mid lane, but Cap's just trying to get the wave pushed in where he can. It's Conqueror on Han Summer on this Coerki. They do manage to get a little bit of pressure onto Kellin and Diable. As expected, like Nami, Coerki, especially with the ebb and flow level 1, you have so much healing and damage coming out. You can see Kellin on the wrong side of that trade. But the ward for G2 in this push, BNK in this push. We'll see if Labrov decides to clear it out. Gleam and Quill used by Kellin to heal up, and the Phosphorus Bomb just sidestepped well by the BNK bot lane.
Yeah, and those little trades are pretty meaningful, those little bits of health. Kellin was positioning forward in the brush because he knew Nami's going to come in for the trade, so then he can get his Q off, then you can get the healing and dodging, as you say, the Phos Bomb. All these little bits of health add up so much, as we know from the first game. And so this time around, doing a little bit better than previously.
And BNK in their first ever international tournament here. Have been close in the past. 2019 as Live Sandbox almost made it to Worlds, and then 2022 as well. Almost made it through, but, or 23, sorry, almost made it through, but have just been slightly shy, whereas G2, so often the EU representative, always here. Well, it's the first time they were at first stand, but always at MSI and Worlds, so consistently the top team in the LEC.
Yeah, so frequently the representative that everybody knows them, everyone well aware, and I like the the interviews that we had with the BNK players where they're all talking about, we've seen a lot of VODs of G2, and we know they have so much international experience, so it's going to be really fun to go up against them on the international stage and really see what they can pull off. Let's see, though. Both bottom lane and top lane pushing early for G2. As SkewMond does finish up his full clear a little bit ahead of time, and since his bot lane is pushing and you've got a recall timer for Diable, that Scuttle Crab is looking pretty good for SkewMond, but there will be a Nocturne waiting in the brush. So can he get his Q trade? Nice.
Bring it out, looking for the fear as well. Labrov's on his way across. Ebb and flow. A bit of healing onto SkewMond. TP coming out from Vicla. Kellin trying to work his way around here as well. G2 do have control of the river right now. Han Summer here, meaning they'll force Raptor away. Pops. The spell shield can't get away from the bubble without his flash. Kellin dashes in, but then has to dash.
Yeah, I guess the comms there were, hey, let's play on Vicla's teleport, and when Vicla comes back, let's do this. But I think it's just a better play from G2, using their pushing bottom lane and having Nami there early. There was no hesitation from SkewMond. He was like, okay, you're going to wait for your teleport and stare at me. I EQ at you immediately. We get your spell shield. We get your flash with the Nami bubble as well, the fault from Labrov. So G2, they're not playing that game. They're not waiting for the teleport to come back for Vicla. They jump on you, get your flash early, and it's a very small lead, but it is the first summoner spell lead of the game.
Hansama though, taking a poor path back to the bot lane, going to be forced away from his cannon and misses it. -1 for him. Diable already at that level 4 stayed in the bottom lane when Hansama came up for the fight around the Scuttle Crab. Labrov and Kellin currently bodyguarding their mid laners. Caps caught out with the Grand Entrance. Aqua Prism not going to land onto anyone, but Caps just trying to get this wave in as soon as he can. Chunked out a little bit, as will be Kellin. In the end, Kellin should just be able to walk away from this one pretty effectively. Caps trying to trade back onto Vicla, dodging away from the Solar Snare, and Kellin does have to use the Grand Entrance.
All right, back to farming pretty normally. Yeah, that cannon was so off limits because he had full plasma stacks on it too.
Like, do not step
Diable
forward.
was like, please go for it, bro. Please let me see you greed. All right, want the last of this, the last auto for this plasma stack, but Hans is not going to greed. He is not going to go down there. And they're still very, very close here across the board, except an expected lead in gold for Clear here, who is going the Comet for the extra, in-lane damage and really trying to punish.
Yeah, not going for the first strike, which is kind of a money printer on the Rumble, instead deciding that he wants to try and keep Broken Blade lower on HP. Clear having a really good game one in the 1v1 as well. We're getting about 1,500 gold lead solo into Broken Blade after having a pretty underwhelming performance so far here at first hand. Both these top laners, I'd say Broken Blade had his Shen game and now Clear has had his Gnar game, but neither of them have really popped off in the way that they would have wanted.
But now they get to play against each other.
Exactly. This is how we skew the statistics, Kobe.
Don't have to play against Ben here. And see as the farming continues. I mean, now we're done with our second full clears for junglers, so you get a decent amount of time for action. And bottom side, I mean, the Scuttle Crab is spawning top side. It would be better action if it was spawning on the bottom side, but we're going to have the same brush camp from Nocturne. So Nocturne doing the same brush camp, go for the Q trade, interfere, and bottom.
Labrov is so low, has to use the heal here as Kellin landed the knockup. Valkyrie away from Hansama as well, and because of that, SkewMond cannot really contest in the river. Labrov getting caught with that knockup out of Kellin.
Yeah, I guess heal for heal traded for bottom side.
Caps in with the Emperor's Divide onto Vicla here, just trying to trade in as much as possible. Rebuttal out, but Caps is low on mana. Looks like he was just trying to get Vicla low because he wants to try and contest around this top side scuttle. SkewMond on his way across. Both the junglers already have the upgraded smite, 20 stacks on their pets. But with Clear having push in the top side, G2 decide, well, we can't really contest this.
Yeah, if he could get him a little further, unfortunately for him, it was like right next to that wall. But if he could have pushed him a little bit further, then maybe SkewMond could have got there. I think SkewMond was a tiny bit ahead on joining the mid lane, and so he was hoping. Wait, SkewMond's going to wrap around. So SkewMond's going to wrap around here. Vicla still has flash, but he's going to have to hedge towards the bottom side.
SkewMond now spotted by the minions. Flash, flag, and drag. Cataclysm for the follow-up. Caps needs to close the gap. The rebuttal won't be enough for Golden Eclipse. Just spells the death of Vicla. Even with the TP coming in from Kellin, he couldn't get there in time.
So good from SkewMond. He knows I can flash early for my EQ, because if you flash this, you're not getting out of Cataclysm, buddy. And so unless Vicla was really hovering even further to the bottom side of the lane, which I think he should have, but unless he's doing that, then there is no way out of this. So SkewMond, who, by the way, what an amazing year for SkewMond. Really, really impressive stuff, and he's keeping it up here at international play. So the sky is really the limit for this guy. Definitely a huge star. And like I said, the previous play too, I think that Caps was trying to get Vicla just a little bit closer to SkewMond so they could do that play earlier. But SkewMond says, don't worry, bro. It's fine. If he bumped him on the wall, I'll just wrap around from the other side when he's up at the tower. And so SkewMond does not give up on the play, and they still get their first blood.
Importantly for Caps as well, holding onto his flash, whereas Vicla had to burn his, which means a future Emperor's Divide, a lot trickier for Vicla to work around. Drake started though for BNK. They've moved Diable up here, and I think SkewMond are having to go back to clear his topside camps because he left them for the gank. Won't be here in time. So BNK will be able to get their first dragon of the series. after G2 were able to secure all 5 in game 1, the Soul and the Elder. And will secure themselves that Cloud. It's Ocean up next. See what Soul we have later on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to get any dragons when your bottom lane gets mega destroyed early.
I'm not blaming BNK they didn't get any dragons. It's just a fun little fact, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And so this time around, able to get one, although Hans and Labrov here doing a decent job in little health trades. But now, once you get to your level 6 spikes for Kaisa and Rakan, now you've got your offensive play available through the river. So it's basically this big play where you have Nocturne ultimate ready to fire, and the bottom lane just has such quick response that it really deserves some respect. And I like what G2 are doing. They're like, okay, fine, we're going to fully ward up all around this dragon preemptively here to see any sort of approach angles. And if they can use their Coerki and Nami poke in lane to soften them up and get some good timers for themselves, then they're in a pretty good spot, honestly. But Raptor!
There's the paranoia. Caps trying to get away, has to use that flash. I thought he was going to get a bit closer to the tower with the shifting sands, but couldn't get close enough, and so that is his summoner down. Nice first paranoia. Kellin able to dodge away from the flag and drag out of SkewMond. Grubs seem to be on the mind of Raptors. He's working his way up towards that topside river. Labrov is here. Kellin just hit level 6, but Labrov needs one more minion to hit 6 himself. SkewMond still has the Cataclysm and the Emperor's Divides available. Broken Blade looking to pincer from the topside. They'll go for Vicla first. No flash for him. There's the quickness. Equalizer down as well as Caps falls first. And now SkewMond is way too deep. Quarter of the Forge coming out will help SkewMond get the kill. Labrov trying to keep SkewMond alive, but he just can't do it. Raptor finds the double, and Clear will find himself some sushi. 3 for BNK as they collapse on G2 making the play.
Yeah, G2 had a lot of information, and they even had information that this Rumble that has been pushing lane and has priority is coming down. And so really good play response here from BNK. G2 reaching too far, thinking that Vicla is more vulnerable than he actually is over there, and trying to go for the all-in on him. But the defense here from BNK, and Clear especially, just wrapping it up there on the bottom side. I mean, you can say, oh, dang, like top laner diff, but you know that was the case. Yeah. Rumble is already pushing Rumble in, so and you also had vision on Rumble coming down to this play because you had wards.
Hans looking for Diable, who's going to use the Killing Shield and the barrier. Exhaust down on Hans Summer from the unsealed spell, but Caps on his way across. Diable won't fall to the single poke from a soldier, and so we'll be able to walk away. As you say, just positioning-wise, G2 were never going to have the man advantage. Vicla still pushing through mid here. Kellin trying to escape flashes away from the Aqua Prison.
And even though they're thinking, oh yeah, Vicla is like real vulnerable because he doesn't have his flash. Caps didn't have his flash either from the previous Nocturne paranoia. Yep. So good stuff from BF.
Caps still doesn't have his flash. Fear Tether, Blast Cone prompt. SkewMond trying to come across. But the damage onto Caps is big. Labrov not there in time for the heal. There's the paranoia follow-up. And BFX are absolutely popping off in the early game. 1.6k gold lead as they force SkewMond to flash out of his own jungle.
Nice job attacking Caps there next to the red wall. Not letting him get over that buff wall. He's unable to get through, so the snowball continues. Yep. Nice explosion of gold lead here. That's also going to be extra summoners down. No flash for SkewMond here on the Jarvan.
And we talked about this is what this BFX composition wanted to do in the draft. They wanted to get these early leads, and they wanted to really force the tempo onto G2. Here again, we see it happening. Caps trying to get across. He knows he's spotted. He's like, well, maybe I can work my way around. Great jump in by Kellin.
Yeah, great job by Kellin. Then Caps doesn't get over the wall. Then Fear procs. Then the ultimate is able to get the flash as well out of Jarvan as Raptor flashes over the bubble.
Going for Caps again. Still doesn't have the flash. SkewMond is here to try and help out his mid laner, who is not having a great time this game. And he will be able to force Raptor away. Caps just trying to farm up towards that second item. First item complete, though, onto Raptor. Kellin coming in. Golden Eclipse not enough to kill off Caps. SkewMond trading with Raptor. He's going to flag and drag through, but look at the damage from the Radiant Volley. Into the Solar Snare, into the rebuttal on the Tidal Wave. Caps charmed up. Labrov trying to get there, trying to get the shields out. Aqua Prism not going to hit. Corner of the Forge coming out from Broken Blade, but it's too little too late. Vicla will eventually fall, but G2 now need to retreat. They've already lost 2, and with the equalizer, make it 3. Fried fish on the menu for Clear as he picks up his second. BFX absolutely collapsing on G2.
Yeah, Vicla playing his range pretty well there on Mel, and then when he sees the opportunity, he wants to go for the flash play, root flash in with Q damage on top to delete caps. And then top laners both roaming down means that there's one extra kill for each side, but here's another look at it. He lands the root so you can get your big burst damage of your Q, and then he uses ult kind of early, as you say, but then he stays out of the range of the rest, and we're back to some action here.
BB with the TP onto Clear, who doesn't have Flash Cataclysm available for SkewMond, but doesn't really want to go for it yet. Raptor's on his way across. There's the Paranoia. Lock them both in. Knock them both up. But still, the Flame Spitter enough to get the kill onto SkewMond. Raptor will find it. Shut down for Broken Blade. Raptor trying to trade back in here with that Experimental Hexblade. Has the extra attack speed, but BB flashing away. Searing charge back in into the Bellows Breath. Thought he could perhaps clip the heels of the Nocturne, but Raptor will be able to walk away.
Okay, 1-for-1 on the top side. Jungler 4 top laner down. There's also teleport, though, on Clear, so after Clear gets back, he can teleport up there. Still Broken Blade going to knock off a couple of turret plates. The first two are so easy to get that Broken Blade gets paid in a big way here.
Yeah, he was 1,000 gold behind and now only 60 to clear. Evie trying to scale up on this tank. Kellin looking for the knockup. No real follow-up here. This is Portal combat. And yeah, they're both just fighting over as much vision as they can get. Kellin hoping that the ward had gone down, and it had. Labrov will lose that one from his inventory. And the only place leading at the moment for G2 is Hansama in that bot lane. Coerki Nami into Kaisa. Rakan does have an advantageous early game, so kind of to be expected, but huge leads across the rest of the board as the bot looks for the tidal wave into the bubble onto Kellin. The Valkyrie forward from Hansama, and Kellin just thought he could play around with it. Good rebuttal there on the Emperor's Device, stopping the knockback. But G2 do find the kill onto Kellin. Caps, the Golden Eclipse was not enough to kill him off with the heal out of Labrov.
Most of support battles over wards are about whose team is going to come first. Yeah. And when Vicla was hovering and Vicla was going to be there first, there was respect from Labrov. He was like, okay, fine, you can kill my ward. I'll back off now. And then when my team is coming, you look at the bottom lane, you see Hans coming up and mid lane's back to even. Kellin does not have the same respect that Labrov had for the teams converging, and nice bubble from Labrov to set that one up.
Yeah, he'd be slightly disappointed that he was the one to pick up the kill.
Nah, that's mine.
Okay, he can be happy, sure. Paranoia onto Caps, who waits with the shifting stance. Then the quickness as well for the follow-up. Aqua Prism not there in time, and perhaps Caps had already shifted, because he didn't even use it to try and get out. Had the flash, but was feared for too long, and because of that now, BFX will be able to secure their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, objective achieved immediately right there. So despite the support kill, doesn't mean a whole lot, just the gold goes over, and Kellin is back into your jungle warding up anyway while they are taking the dragon. So small response, of course. Yeah, you can grab some topside camps there in exchange for this, and it is only dragon number 2, you say very hesitantly, but so it's not like dragon soul point, but you're already very, very worried for G2 as far as the timeline goes, because are you going to get time for your Ornn upgrades to come through? He is level 13, so he's got his own upgrade now and can start handing them out fairly soon, but also need a little bit more time for Azir, and the next dragons, they start to come up pretty quickly here. You know, time flies.
Only 4 minutes before we're there for the next one, and with Vicla having a 1.4k lead on this Mel. Having a really good series so far. Caps caught out, has to flash. Aqua Prism, the Shroud of Darkness was used by Raptor to avoid the CC, but again we see Caps getting back out onto the map and then immediately being forced onto the back foot.
Yeah, there's no way you fight over a freaking Rift Herald at this point. When you're trying to like buy every second of time to save gold, good job G2. Just get your gold cross map and do not send anybody out into open territory where they can get Nocturne ulted.
Clear. Clear's going all the way around through the walls here. There's the equalizer. Paranoia follow-up there. Dive onto Labrov, who uses the tidal wave. Still feared. Flame Spitter out from Clear underneath the tower. He'll just take 2 immediately. BFX just absolutely wiping away G2 in mid.
It's beautiful because BFX say, guess what? Not only can we Nocturne ult you in open territory, we can Nocturne ult you between your towers while your laners are split pushing, because the Nocturne ultimate fully goes off. So after it is already dark, they can't teleport anybody in, and it is easy to finish the tower dive here. The speed with which they pull it off between the 2 towers, even though there was that nice little lock up there, yeah, they immediately delete 2 people, and this is what you get with the full dive comp from Champ Select. Warning about it, yeah, Hans gets immediately deleted, and the solo laners can't join. They're trying their best to farm up a little bit in the side lanes.
And we talked about the early spikes for BFX. That's exactly what they're utilizing so well here. 2 items completed on Vicla. Clear has his Leandries and is building up towards his second. You've got 2 items on Raptor. They are forcing the tempo onto G2 at every possible moment, saying, okay, let's fight, let's fight, let's fight, let's fight. Kellin trying to wrap around behind Hans Summer here. Labrov seeing if he can keep him at bay. The Rift Herald charge is going to hit onto the bottom tier 1, and that will be the tower alongside it. BFX now 3,000 gold ahead at 19 minutes.
Yeah, so good at pushing their leads, at snowballing, taking over enemy territory. We're also, during the take of the tower, Kellin again putting down the deep wards here in the jungle, you can see, and Labrov finds one of them, but you know when you're like retaking your red side after both of your towers have been taken and mid and bottom are both gone, there's a lot of stuff you have to clean to be able to safely retake that territory.
And it's also like, how does Labrov clean that? Like, he's a Nami, man. This guy is fish food if he walks in there. If anyone is waiting for him, he gets caught out. Emperor's Divide used by Caps onto Kellin because of the possible follow-up. There's the paranoia. They'll dive onto Labrov again. TP coming out from Broken Blade, but Labrov is already down. And Raptor's just able to walk away. Hans Summer below half HP. Call to the Forge God coming out as G2 looked to see if they can find anything out of this, but BFX are unwilling to give an inch. G2 forced back again by BFX.
Yeah, they delete Labrov, and the rest of the map is still theirs. Even with the teleport in from Broken Blade, it's too late. All the action has already occurred. He wanted to make something out of his ult. He's like, okay, cool, I hit it. And my teleport shield, all good. But the speed with which BFX are pulling off these picks is just too quick. No response here from G2. And this is why we were worried from Champ Select.
100%. And it's also the willingness just to find 1 or 2 picks. Never going like, oh, we've won this fight, let's keep going in a 5v3, because that is where sometimes you can make a mistake, you can give a kill across to the enemy, and that's where they start coming back. BFX are very willing to say, okay, we got enough, we're good, we have our 2 Drakes, next one up in 50 seconds time, you're going to have to fight us around either this one or the Soul. Mountain Soul for us as well is really nice, because you're so far behind that extra shield is going to make it really hard for you to actually take us down.
Okay, so Ornn upgrades on Caps and SkewMond for G2, so Broken Blade trying to get that value out of the Ornn, and you know, it's only a 3K gold lead at the moment.
Only 2,000 gold in the mid lane. Vicla's a whole item ahead of Caps, man. I think it's a pretty sizable chunk of change that BFX are ahead as G2 do look to collapse onto Raptor. Gonna put the Cataclysm down as well. Raptor doesn't have the flash. He's locked in the pit, but BFX are keeping Hans Summer at bay. There's the Equalizer down as well. Tidal Wave coming out. Caps jumping onto Clear, who flashes away. The Emperor's Divide doesn't find its mark. Meanwhile, the mid lane tower still low. Diable has to flash away from the Searing Charge. And with the Bellows Breath, Broken Blade should be able to walk out. Golden Eclipse not enough to take him down. Still too tanky, but BFX in the end will still secure the tier 2 in mid.
Yeah, a lot of summoner spells blown in exchange for ultimates here. They did get Diable.
SkewMond getting caught out here. Solus there for the follow-up, and SkewMond thought that all of BFX had just gone to the Drake, but BFX willing to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, again, trying to retake your red quadrant. It's so dangerous. You're playing against Rakan and Proto Belt Mel as well for Vicla with the extra mobility from it. And the Chovy Proto Belt meta fully upon us. I mean, really good engage, obviously, with the ultimate from Diable. Can always follow that up, and so there's plenty of damage. Dragon number 3 acquired for BNK and probably Baron as well.
They immediately double TP'd out with Kellin and with Clear, and they'll start up the Baron. I don't think G2 really have a way to answer this, with SkewMond still dead, now only just spawning. Like, can you really step into this darkness? The answer, very resounding no. BFX will secure not only the 3rd Drake of the game, but also their first Baron. As at 23 minutes, they have this 5,000 gold lead. And for G2, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, how much can we scale? Can we get to maybe 3 items before the next big fight? The answer's probably not, because you've only got 4 minutes before you need to fight around a Mountain Soul.
Yeah. I think that last sequence, it just pushes the game a bit out of reach. Yeah. They made some attempts at the mid sage to pick people, but BNK avoided all of them. You know, Raptor was able to defensively Nocturne ult, wait out the Cataclysm, he escaped. Diable flashed the attempt on mid, and Now with all of the extra power picked up, it's going to be hard to deal with this Baron-empowered Siege, but G2, they're going to have to draw a line in the sands. Go for your Ornn ultimate Nami combo. See what you can get. Got to be aware of Mel's positioning. Obviously, this is a big blocker. Worry about the reflect.
Yeah, the rebuttal can do a lot of work. Vicla 2 levels up over Caps right now. Onsama trying to work his way across the mid lane. There's the Paranoia equalizer follow-up, and Caps is dead before he can even pop his ultimate. The rest of G2 likely to go pop 2. Diable killer instincts out. Onsama there for the chase. They'll take 1. Clear now behind enemy lines as Raptor not tanking up the tower anymore. Clear trying to get in with the flame spitter. He'll go down as well. G2 so far have found 2 for only 1. There's 3. Kellin falls. Raptor needs to get the hell out of here. Flash forward from SkewMond trying to chase down Vicla. Raptor running for the hills. Rebuttal doesn't block anything. But the Solar Snare catches 2, flag and drag, and down goes 1. SkewMond looking for more. Can Raptor escape his clutches? A huge fight for G2. SkewMond on the chase. Stridebaker slow. Dustbringer speed up. Might be enough, but SkewMond will have the flag and drag back up in a second. SkewMond flags and drags away from the tower. Can't get close enough. TP behind onto the standard. I think that's all she wrote. BFX overstep on the bot lane tier 2.
Yeah, that's 1 tower too deep for BFX. That dive, they take so much tower damage. You're going to have Vicla has to flash out. They're completely separated. Even though they fully delete Caps on the initiation, they're unable to finish up the rest of G2. Take a look at this. So Caps, he gets locked up. Really nice job there from Rakan, Rumble ultimate, and Nocturne ultimate. But that's everything. Then you get a really good double knockup from Broken Blade. They buy time, and now they're completely split on trying to disengage from the tower. So very good answer here from G2. They fight them off of this tower dive and try and chase down as much gold as they can. I believe during this replay, they probably got the objective bounty as well of the secondary tower on the bot side of the map. That's what they were sieging.
No, I think Diable got there in time to stop them from taking the tower.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, they didn't get it. Yeah, so no objective bounty claim, but with all the kill gold, they did wipe the objective bounties off the map.
Yeah, gone down 2,500 gold swing in that last fight, but still, BFX well in the lead. We've got a minute before the next Drake. We've got flashes on Diable. No one else really going to have their flash on BFX. Hans, Caps, and Labrov all have theirs alongside Broken Blade. So BFX will need to do their due diligence around this next objective.
G2 have a good chance at this Dragon Soul with the massive front line that they do have here. Let's see if they can do it without someone getting picked off on the side. They're just grouping up as 5, Broken Blade in front. BNK though, they want to delete backline again.
Raptor looking for that Paranoia. Sundisk down from Caps, still only level 13. Paranoia onto Labrov, knockup coming out. Raptor falling low, Kellin diving onto the backline. Labrov already down. Caps though, able to go back in with Broken Blade here. Raptor with a good trap of darkness, Catapult coming out. Unsummoned still untouched pretty much in the fight. SkewMond almost dies to the golden eclipse, and Caps doesn't have the damage to kill off Clear. G2 will trade the 1-for-1 so far, but it's BFX's jungler that is down.
Yeah, and SkewMond can actually just heal off the red buff. He can grab his own red buff and circle back around. I mean, they're going to force it, but look at Diable and Kellin.
Diable has flash, Hans Valkyrie's out, Caps does have the flash and has the Emperor's Divide. Call of the Forge God available to Broken Blade as well. G2 will turn their attentions away, but Clear gets in behind them. Caps with the Emperor's Divide is dead where he stands. Clear doing so much work on Summer, unable to join the party, does get a phosphorus bomb onto Diable, but now Broken Blade needs to get out. SkewMond getting burnt to a crisp by Clear, flags and drags his way away. BFX still on the chase, Kellin diving in, Diable flashing forward, Call of the Forge God, who are they going for? It's Clear, Aqua Prism on him, the Rumble will fall, Vicla in the pit, Broken Blade dashing in, Red Diable trying to get in there as well, the devil on his shoulder, being outspoken by G2's demons, a triple for Hans, but Raptor's back up. Is it still just Soul for BFX?
I mean, he's going to start it out, but there's so many members of G2 alive. Hans can still arrive. They've got the teleport coming in from Broken Blade. I think that's illegal from Raptor.
Vicla's going to TP back into the fight as well. Raptor looking to see perhaps he can just find a smite fight. Steal, Paranoia in onto Labrov. Raptor gets the kill. Vicla forced away by BB. Raptor able to run away for now. Has the blast cone 2 to escape. Sitting charge from Broken Blade. Doesn't land the knockup. The brittle prod not there in time to stop the blast cone back by BFX.
Okay, so Raptor's going to go back to base. SkewMond is up now. He just revived, so he can actually get here. Hans is going to work down the dragon so that by the time SkewMond gets there, he can smite it away. And G2 have done it. They have defended the dragon's soul. They're scaling, baby. Those Ornn upgrades. The Azir's on 2 items, but really, Hans Sama. Hans Sama's the one that was able to clutch this. Here's another look at it. Diable flashes over to go for the kill. They kill enemy jungler. It is worse because the soul is there. Clear had done such a good job with his teleport in. That's why they got to this moment. But the second attempt at the engage.
Hans actually just dodges everything. That's so impressive by him. The rest of G2 getting caught by it. Him just standing right at the edge of those knockups. We have another look at the fight around the Drake as well. Labrov immediately burst by Raptor.
Yeah, and they were trying to delete somebody. Enough damage is done here, though, with Hans, with double buffs, chasing off enemy jungler that they do defend it. And now we're starting up Baron, actually.
BFX calling G2 to another Barney, to another fight. Bellow's breath out from Broken Blade, Call it Forge God coming out as well as Caps tried to TP in. The rebuttal will knock up Caps with that Forge God. Diable down to half HP, quickness coming out as they try and get onto Caps, but look how far away Kellin is from the rest of the team. Equalizer down, but there's the follow-up with the Paranoia, flash away from Raptor BFX. Everything a little bit asynced here. Desynchronous from them as they went in one by one and had to dash out. G2 still standing relatively healthy.
Again, G2 has scaled for this moment, and they have Nami sustain. So even with Broken Blade doing the ultimate right in front of Mel, G2 can kite back, and they have extra sustain here. They can start the Baron.
No quickness up, no Paranoia, no Equalizer. G2 now the one setting up on the objective. Hans Sama on that front line needs to be healed up a little bit. Kellin still looking for the flank position. Broken Blade caught in the Solar Snare, but uses the Bellow's Breath to escape it. Caps goes in, the Emperor's Divine to Diable, and Caps finds his man. He'll die for it. There's the Cataclysm follow-up as G2 look to take the fight out from here. Hans Sama has to pop the barrier. Raptor going pop himself, flag and drag in. Raptor falls to the final order. Now Vicla needs to get out. The Canonist is hit, but Vicla still finds the kill with a Radiant Volley. He'll go down. Broken Blade and clear. Fighting out the top lane battle. The Forge God has answered the prayers of the EU as G2 find the ace.
Oh my goodness, these fights are so close there. The poke from Vicla at the end, but I think it gets taken out just barely. All right, let's take another look. So Vicla's trying to position aggressively. He is Mel. He's got his Reflect ready. He wants to do as much poke damage as he possibly can, but Caps sees the angle and he catches Diable right out of the air, deletes him. Really, really huge engage, as you say, from the Emperor of Europe. Caps is able to get the clutch at the Baron, and then
Vicla there, that's so.
I think it's Nami that gets it. Yeah, Nami gets the bounce off of Broken Blade, so Labrov is able to answer the poke damage there.
In the end, it's just another fight. There's no objective taken off it. The Baron still stands tall. The gold even between these two teams, though, as G2 were 5,000 gold behind earlier on. Cap still only level 14 on this Azir, but it feels like he's found his purpose in this game, and that is to find Diable 175 and still basically won the fight for G2. Around that last Drake, the mid-tier one will be taken by G2, their second tower of the game. For BFX now, you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, team fights are close. How do we make them end up in our favor?
Well, you got to take out Hans. I mean, Hans is building an Infinity Edge on top now, too, looks like. So
I think he's got it.
There you go. Infinity Edge done. 4-item Hans Sama.
Can you get to him? Broken Blade, level 18, highest in the game, 3 items on him. Giving those Masterworks out alongside it. Everyone on G2 has that upgraded item. SkewMond also building tank after the Sundered Sky and the Black Cleaver. Koenig Rakan. Looks like he might be going into a Death's Dance next, possibly. It's G2 just grouping up as 5. We've seen this show before. We've told this tale a million times. Raptor looking for the flank.
Hans has his flash and his barrier is a couple seconds away too, so it's going to be really hard to take out that Coerki. Look how G2 are positioning. People on all sides of Hans. They're circling around him. Coerki in the middle now actually moving up. He's got the red buff.
Solar Snap dodging to the side of it. There's the Equalizer only onto Hans. Sama Paranoia going in as well. Caps pops a stopwatch. Sundisk down. Kellin trying to get in with that quickness. Raptor can still dive forward with that paranoia, but it's expired now as G2 walk away. Golden Eclipse will chunk them out. Caps down to half HP, healed up by Labrov. G2 will give up Prio on the mid lane to walk down here to reset. They used the Tidal Wave and the Emperor's Divide, but nothing more. There's only Killer Instinct available to BFX.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted positioning on Dragon, but BFX are running now away from the Baron area.
Diable, almost taken out. Called for being called as well. That's the Cataclysm, and Diable feels the rips of an earthquake through him as SkewMond buries him under his ultimate. BFX now realize they cannot fight against G2. They'll take the Baron, and G2 will take control of the game. Soul is up, Soul is up. Broken Blade's running across there. SkewMond might need to get across as well. Clearer started it. TP coming in from Vicla. Are G2 going to trade the Baron for a Soul Hunt Summer on his way?
Yeah, they're trying to burn it down. Mountain Dragon is the tankiest one though, and now Hunt Summer!
TP coming in from Caps as well. He flashes for Vicla, Hunt Summer finds Vicla. Cannon going in with the quickness. Broken Blade keeping Raptor away from the Baron. Clear will kill up Hunt Summer, but with Caps here, G2 have the damage. Knock up coming out from Broken Blade. Raptor falls. G2, they take the Baron. They ward off BFX, and they'll stop the Soul.
Yeah, BFX knew their only shot now after G2 has scaled is to sneak away a Soul, and G2 peel off of the Baron. They come, they defend it. Even with Hans going down and the bounty going over, G2, they get their Baron, and they take the Dragon as well, denying the Soul.
So often, I have criticized Hans Summer for not having the killer instinct in games. For not being, like, he's consistent. He's consistently really good, but he doesn't make the play that wins you the game. Here, he goes in, he kills off Vicla. We're going to go behind that, but it's just very impressive stuff from Hans Summer so far this series.
Yeah, both games really good.
Even here, killing off Diable.
Yeah, I thought this was what you're referencing, actually.
Oh, no, because I forgot about this one, I'll be honest.
Because it was him on the front lines, and he has the confidence because his team is so good in the 5-5s. But here we go, Valk into flash forward onto Vicla after he had just full sent onto Diable as well and chunked Diable down so low that he was deleted. So it is back-to-back huge games for Hans Summer, and he has the confidence because he's got this very tanky team around him to be able to do it, that have fully scaled here. So nicely done from G2. Now marching in with Baron. You can see the Baron powered cannon minions here, 4 of them for Broken Blade. He's commanding them all to destroy this tower.
Kellin is on the longest flank I have ever seen in my life. He's in the enemy bot lane Tribush right now, but it could pay off. He's on his way across. SkewMond trying to get in here with G2 as well, but Kellin's still on the flank. I think Caps has now spotted him. Kellin's on his way. Paranoia out. Broken Blade down to a 3rd HP. There's the quickness, there's the charm, there's everything, and they'll kill up on Summer. Kellin with a beautiful engage. Now it's all on Caps to do the damage. Raptor trying to step up. Call of the Fortress coming out as well. SkewMond dives in onto Vicla. He locks both the carries into the pit, and they'll find them all! The Aqua Prism puts BFX sleeping with the fishes as G2, even with their AD carry dead, are still able to win out the fight. Hope springs eternal in EU. Where there is delusion, there is G2 as they go 1 game away from playoffs in first stand.
G2 have done it again. 2 games back to back. Huge performances here to be able to weather the storm. I will say though, from BFX, you are going to be looking at that tower dive over and over and really regretting that one, and not just waiting for Dragon Soul. They dive the bot lane secondary tower and they lose all momentum in the game. Analysts, have they lost all momentum in the series now?
All I know is that when things get hard, get hotter, and that's what G2 did here this game.